pitches. You don't let him toil in Double A. So that's where I'm at with it. This next guy, I got to admit to you, that's why I love doing this research for you guys. I'm selfish. I do it for me, right? The fact that I get to share it with you guys is just a really great bonus. I knew about this guy. He wasn't on my radar. We're talking about a 20-year-old player here that last year, again, spanned 3 levels of minor league ball, A plus, and Double A. He hit .291 with 23 homers, 68 RBIs, and 80 runs. He also had 20 stolen bases in just 117 games.
To announce your fucking presence with authority, this guy's a first ball, fastball hitter. He's looking for heat.
Oh, yeah? So what? He ain't seen my heat.
All right, mate. Give me your heat.
Why is he always calling me meat? I'm the guy driving a Porsche.
This guy's going to be driving a fucking Porsche soon. Jared Kelenic. This guy jumps off the page to me. Comparisons. Jim Edmonds. Here, I'll read you quotes before we talk about this player. Okay? GM Jerry Dipoto. He has a combination of talent and drive. He wants to be the best player in the world. He doesn't hide it. He's pretty audible about it. He hits. He hits for power. He plays defense. He runs. His work ethic is as alpha male as it gets. I personally cannot be more impressed by the research that I did on a guy that I knew was talented, but discovered this guy. I'm saying discovered. He's been around a bit, right? Discovered this guy through my research. Jared Kelenic. According to Dipoto, this is a quote. He didn't just jump to Double A. He was often the best player on the field in Double A, and it was obvious. He has the talents to get to the big leagues young. The second half of 2020 is a real possibility. That's the Mariners GM saying that. I don't know what an adult man gushing sounds like, per se. But that sounds like it, doesn't it? You know, you're right, Royals. Thanks for joining, by the way, Kevin. Yeah, so Kelenic was acquired from the Mariners in a trade that sent Edwin Diaz to the Mets. It was a big trade. Justin Dunn went to the Mariners. I mean, there was a lot of talent that exchanged there. But this guy is the best of the group. He's a special talent. He really is. He could hit for average. He could hit for power. He steals bases. He's a future top 10 pick talent-wise. If he's out there, if you're drafting a slow draft, hint, hint, why not take a last chance on this guy? He is ready to start this year. But I don't think that happens. The Mariners want to suck for a little while. I'm thinking around the All-Star break. Malpal. I don't know that it's stupid, Lenny. Because if Edwin Diaz pans out and goes back to his 25-year-old stud self, it's worth it. You have maybe 7 to 8 closers that you could count on. Diaz has that kind of stuff. But it was costly. That's for damn sure. Right? Because this guy could be talking about with the likes of Acuna, Yelich, in a few short years. He has that kind of talent. For this year, I'm thinking about 25 games. I don't think he gets up till later in the season. 279, 8 homers, 6 stolen bases. He steals in clusters, though, guys. All right, let's pivot back just a minute. First off, man, I love having all this support. I really appreciate you guys. I want to say what's up to Andrea, Dale Lawler, Doug Boyle, George, Lenny, Mal Powell, Kevin, Royals Boom, Guess Mariana. I saw you typing earlier. If you got a question, please. We'd prefer you identify yourself, but this chat room's for interaction. We love having people in the chat room. This is the best collection of baseball minds you're going to find. Anywhere. So if you have a question, ask me or any of these great experts in the chat room, okay? So let's pivot back for a minute. This next guy I'm talking about, I'm predicting to win the American League Rookie of the Year. Everybody thought this guy last year was going to be the Rookie of the Year. I'm talking about Jesus Luzardo. A 22-year-old left-handed pitcher for the Athletics. Boy, he was really good in the playoffs last year, right? We all remember the 3 shutout innings that he had. George, don't sell yourself short, brother. Listen, buddy, we haven't even scratched the surface, okay? We haven't even scratched the surface. Stay tuned, please. Jesus Luzardo, 3+ pitches, first Peruvian-born player to pitch in the major leagues, though he was raised in Venezuela. Marjorie Douglas Stoneman High School graduates. Obscure facts, I know. In the postseason, like I said, Luzardo got the nod with his team down to the Rays. He delivered 3 innings of 1-hit ball with 4 strikeouts, keeping the A's within striking range. 2016, drafted by the Nationals in the 3rd round. Didn't pitch because he had undergone Tommy John in March of that year. He turned down a scholarship to his hometown, University of Miami Hurricanes, and signed a contract which included a $1.4 million signing bonus, over double his slot value. Vic, welcome. 2017, he was traded from Washington to Oakland with Sheldon Neuse and Blake Trinan for Ryan Madsen and Sean Doolittle. That's an interesting trade, right? I'll tell you, at the time, Luzardo was considered the number 10 prospect in that organization, in Washington's organization. So he wasn't really highly touted then, right? After Oakland acquired him, he rewarded the Athletics with a 48-5 K to walk ratio as he spanned 3 different levels. He started 11 games. In 2018, he started in the Futures game. He went 10-5 with a 2.88 ERA. In 23 starts, he had 129 Ks and 109 innings pitched. And at that point, he had crested in his prospect ilk, I guess, right? So last year, we all expected him to come out, win a starting job. At least I did. Win a starting job coming out of camp. win the American League Rookie of the Year, but it wasn't meant to be. 2 separate injuries stunted Luzardo's much anticipated Major League debut. He debuted on September 11th. In his 6 Major League appearances, he collected 2 saves and 2 holds. He mostly pitched multiple innings. He allowed multiple hits just 1 time last season. So, my prediction for Luzardo, he makes 20 starts this year. He wins the American League Rookie of the Year. He stays healthy and effective. He ends up going 20 plus starts, guys, because I'm trying to stay consistent here. 20 plus starts. He ends up going 16-5, a 3.11 ERA, 155 innings pitched, and 170 Ks. He pitches well in the playoffs, and he carves his way into a top 10 pitcher this time next year. If you can get Jesus Luzardo at 22 years old in his true rookie season, I highly suggest you do so. How about Gavin Lux? 21 years old. Again, last year, 3 levels of play. Just so happened the 3rd level was the highest level, Vic. Double A, Triple A, and Major League. The jury's still out on Lux, right? He wasn't terribly effective at the Major League level. But I like this kid. I think he finishes second in the National League Rookie of the Year. Last year at AAA, last year he hit 13 home runs in just 49 games at AAA. He hit .392 and he stole 3 bases. He became last year the 2nd youngest player in MLB history to hit a homer in his first postseason plate appearance. I don't think... That's a great question, Malpal. He asked, does Lux have speed? And if you're listening to me offline, I'm getting these questions and this interaction from the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com. If you're not in the interactive chat room, I'd suggest you go. You could sign in as a guest, or you could go in and sign in and put your name so we know we can talk to. You can ask your questions. You can give your input there. I think at his peak, Lux gives you 10 to 15. So I think he has enough speed to be a factor in that category, but I don't think he gives you enough speed to give you 20 plus. He might do it 1 year. I don't think so, right? So again, for Lux, it's all about opportunity. The Dodgers are very much in a win-now mode. They don't have time for him to struggle. They don't have time for him to go through slumps. So he needs to be fairly effective right out of the gate. I think he does that enough to get him playing time. I think he plays about 140 games. I think he hits about 20 homers, guys, which is pretty good, right? I think he hits about 278. And again, I have him for about 11 stolen bases, Malpal. Again, this is all about opportunity with him because the Dodgers don't have time.